Welcome friends. Now let us discuss about your QRMP scheme, quarterly return monthly payment. So you are talking about your QR, quarterly return filing monthly payment. QRMP scheme. Friends, this scheme is for a regular taxable person as well as casual taxable person, and if they are eligible they can go for QRMP scheme. This is discussed in terms of your section 39, to be very specific, proviso to section 39 subsection 1 read along with 61A. 61A talks about eligibility when you can enter this QRMP scheme. Now basically understand that a regular taxable person and casual taxable person, as discussed earlier, they will file monthly return and monthly payment, MRMP, monthly return, monthly payment. But if they are covered by proviso to section 39 subsection 1, they can go for QRMP scheme, right? And this proviso to section 39 subsection 1 has to be read along with rule 61A. Now first, what is the eligibility criteria? What is the eligibility criteria? Only those registered persons who have aggregate turnover, that is pan India turnover. Aggregate turnover is pan India turnover up to 5 crores in the previous financial year. So it means that if your previous financial year aggregate turnover is more than 5 crores, pan India turnover is more than 5 crores, then you cannot think of QRMP scheme. Only and only if your previous year aggregate turnover is up to 5 crores, you can think for your QRMP scheme. You can opt for QRMP scheme. And this scheme can be opted GSTN wise. Now what it means is, if at all you have multiple GST number, in one GST number you can go for MRMP scheme, in another GST number you can go for QRMP scheme. Now if I were to tell this in a very simple example, if I tell that your aggregate turnover, is 10 crores in previous financial year, case 1. Or if I tell that your aggregate turnover is 4 crores, aggregate turnover is always pan India turnover in previous financial year. If your aggregate turnover is 10 crores in previous financial year, that is case number 1. Understand that you are not at all eligible for QRMP scheme, and assuming that you are working in the state of Maharashtra as well as Delhi, you are having two GST number. GSTIN1 as well as GSTIN2. Now understand that the moment your aggregate turnover is more than 10 crore, more than 5 crores in previous financial year, you have to go for MRMP scheme both in Maharashtra as well as Delhi. You are not at all eligible for QRMP scheme. But if I tell that your aggregate turnover in preceding financial year is up to 5 crores, then friends, again you are talking about a scenario where in Maharashtra you have one GST number, in Delhi you have another GST number. Now what you can do is, you have multiple possibilities. Now you are eligible for QRMP scheme. In Maharashtra you can go for QRMP scheme, as well as in Delhi you can go for QRMP scheme, that is option 1. Or in Maharashtra you can go for QRMP scheme, in Delhi you can go for MRMP scheme, that is option 2. Or in Maharashtra you can go for monthly return, monthly payment scheme, but in Delhi you can go for QRMP scheme. Or you are talking about last scenario, in both the places, though you are eligible but you are not opting for QRMP scheme, both in Maharashtra and Delhi. So totally there will be 4 possibilities: option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. It is GSTN wise, right? So that is the point that we were trying to understand. First, understand that your previous year aggregate turnover should be up to 5 crores. Then you can go for QRMP scheme if you want. It is optional. Secondly, it is GST wise. For one GST number, you can go for QRMP scheme. For the other, you can go for MRMP scheme, and vice versa. Now, understand that when you talk about your QRMP scheme, you have to opt inside QRMP scheme. Eligibility we have discussed. Now, you are talking about opting. How you have to opt? So, if you are eligible, then you have to opt. When you are opting, this QRMP scheme is available quarter wise. It is available quarter wise. So opting in for a quarter has to be done between what time? Between first day of the second month of the previous quarter till last day of the first month of the current quarter. I repeat, it has to be done between first day of the second month of previous quarter till the last day of the first month of the current quarter. Now that we'll discuss with the help of an example which is given here. And also, while opting, there is one more condition to be satisfied. The registered person should have filed the last return which is due as on the date of exercising the option. as on the date of exercising option. So there are two conditions. When you are opting in, you have to opt in a particular window. That the window is first day of the second month of the previous quarter till the last day of the first month of the current quarter. And the moment when you are exercising that option, between that time you can exercise at any point of time. You have to ensure that whatever return is due, whatever last return which is due, which means due date has gone, it should have been filed as on that date. So when you are opting for QRMP scheme, there should be no pending returns which are due. There should be no pending returns which are due. And also understand that once you have opted inside QRMP scheme, you are not required to opt every time. So once QRMP scheme is opted, it is available for all future periods unless opted out. So it is not that you have to opt every time. So once you have opted inside, then you are under QRMP scheme unless you are going outside or you are thrown outside, both. Because either you can voluntarily walk outside QRMP scheme or mandatorily you are thrown outside QRMP scheme. Both are possible. And that brings us to the last point where you are talking about opt out, that is going outside QRMP scheme. Now, when you are talking about opt out, there are 2 points that you have to discuss. One is optional opt out, which means that you still can continue for QRMP scheme, but you don't want to continue. Voluntarily, you are going outside QRMP scheme. Now, that is to be exercised between, again, the same time period, between the first day of the second month of the previous quarter till the last day of the first month of the current quarter. Same time limit, same window. If you want to opt out voluntarily, if you want to go out voluntarily, again the same time period. First day of the second month of the previous quarter till last day of the first month of the current quarter. We'll try to understand this with the help of example which is given below. But friends, if it is mandatory opt out, means there's one more point that you have to remember. For entering inside QRMP scheme, you have to see your previous year aggregate turnover and how long you can be inside QRMP scheme. Till your aggregate turnover in current financial year crosses 5 crores. So that is a very important point. If your aggregate turnover of current financial year, crosses that 5 crores in a particular quarter, then QRMP scheme shall not be available from the next quarter onwards. Now this 5 crores, friends, is for current financial year. This 5 crores is for, friends, current financial year. So for entering inside, first you have to see whether your previous year aggregate turnover is less than 5 crores, up to 5 crores, so you can enter inside QRMP scheme. And when you are entering inside QRMP scheme, there is a window in which you have to enter, and at the time of entering, there should be no pending due returns. And if you are going outside QRMP scheme voluntarily, again there is a window in which you have to go outside. But if you are thrown outside QRMP scheme, if your aggregate turnover of current financial year crosses 5 crores in any time, during any time in a particular quarter, during any time, it may cross on the first day of that quarter or last day of that quarter, during any time in a particular quarter, in that quarter you will be under QRMP scheme. From the next quarter onwards, you are not under QRMP scheme, you are mandatorily thrown outside QRMP scheme. Now, to understand this, let us take an example. This example will make things very, very, very clear when you are talking about opting eligibility, opting in, opting out. Now friends, this example talks about, say, financial year 2021. Financial year 2021. Financial year 20XX, X1 is 2021. And when you are talking about financial 2021, your aggregate turnover is less than 5 crores. And you are registered with effect from 1st of February 2021. 1st of February 2021. Now friends, understand that first you are talking about taking registration. When you have taken new registration on 1st of February 2021. So obviously your return filing is only and only for January 21 to March 21. January 21 to March 2021. Right. Now understand that for opting inside QRMP scheme, you have to opt when? You have to opt from first day of the second month of the previous quarter. First day of the second month of the previous quarter. Previous quarter is your October to December. So first day of second month. So 1st of November 2020 till the last date of the first month of the current quarter. So if at all, when I am telling that you are registered, you have taken your registration, you have got your registration with effect from 1st of February 2021. Now I will take another example where, assuming that you have got your registration from 1st of Jan 2021. Now understand that your first quarter In both the cases, your first quarter will be January 2021 to March 2021. Both are two different cases. In this example, it is given as 1st of February 2021. Now, for opting QRMP scheme, for opting for QRMP scheme, for January 21 to March 21, you have to opt between which date? First day of the second month of the previous quarter. Previous quarter is October to December, second month is November. So, first day of November 2020 till last day of the first month of the current quarter, last day of the first month. So, 31st January, first month is current quarter is your Jan to March. So, last day of the first month is 31st January 2021. You should have opted for QRMP scheme. If at all you want to opt QRMP scheme, this is the window. This is the window. If you have got registration, on 1st of Jan 2021, you can opt for QRMP scheme. Why? You fall in this window. You fall in the window of 1st November 2020 till 31st of Jan 2021. But if you have got registration with effect from 1st February 2021, you cannot opt for QRMP scheme. You cannot opt for QRMP scheme. You have to go for MRMP scheme. Why? Because the window for opting for QRMP scheme, for January 2021 to March 2021 is 1st November 2020 till 31st Jan 2021. And when I tell that you have got registration on 1st of Feb 2021, that window is closed, you can only think of MRMP scheme. But if I tell that you have got registration with effect from 1st January 2021, you still have that window is still open, you can opt for QRMP scheme. Now, the moment if you have opted for QRMP scheme, you would have filed return for Jan to March quarter, one return. Now, if I tell you cannot go for QRMP scheme, then you have to file monthly returns for February separately, and for March separately. For February month separately, for March month separately. So, there will be two returns. Here it will be only one return, right? So, this clarifies your entry point. Now, though you have registered for the first time, with effect from 1st of Feb 2021, you cannot go for QRMP scheme because QRMP scheme window for January 21 to March 21 is 1st November 2020 till 31st of Jan 2021, which is gone. So, you have to only go for regular scheme, monthly scheme. You have to only go for regular scheme, monthly scheme. Now you have entered the next financial year 2021. You have entered the next financial year 2021. And when you are entering the next financial year 21-22 rather, you have entered the next financial year 21-22, your previous financial year, for this financial year 21-22, your previous financial year is financial year 2021, where your aggregate turnover was up to 5 crores. Now, understand that can he go for QRMP scheme? And this point it is mentioned that registered person wants to go for QRMP scheme for quarter 1 and quarter 2, and regular scheme for quarter 3, and again QRMP scheme for quarter 4. So, he wants to go for QRMP scheme for quarter 1 and quarter 2, and regular scheme for quarter 3, and again QRMP scheme for quarter 4. Is it possible? Is it possible? First, let us check, can he go for QRMP scheme? Understand the point that when you are talking about the new financial year 21-22, first quarter is April to June quarter. For April to June quarter, if at all you want to go for QRMP scheme, for April to June quarter, if at all you want to go for QRMP scheme, you have to make sure that you exercise that between April to June, means previous quarter is Jan to March and current quarter is April to June. So, you have to exercise that option of QRMP scheme between first day of the second month of the previous quarter. First day of the second month of the previous quarter is 1st of February 2021 till last day of the first month of the current quarter, 30th of April 2021. So, if at all you want to exercise for QRMP scheme for April to June, you can go. First condition is whether your previous year aggregate turnover is up to 5 crores. Yes, you have seen that your previous year aggregate turnover is up to 5 crores, you are eligible. You are eligible. Second condition is if you want to opt in. First is eligibility, you are eligible. For financial year 21-22, your previous year aggregate turnover is up to 5 crores, you are eligible. Now when you want to go inside, opt in, you have to opt between the window. What is that window for April to June 2021? It is 1st of February 2021 till 30th of April 2021. Assume that you are selecting that option. Assume that you are selecting that option on 27th of April because last date is 30th of April 2021. Assuming that you are selecting that option on the 27th April, there is one more criteria for opting in. Opting in should be within that window. First day of the second month of previous quarter till the last day of the first month of current quarter. Plus, when you are opting in, assume that you are exercising that option on 27th of April. Assume. On that date, what return is due? March return is already due. For March 2021, the due date is 20th of April. If you are talking about March, you are under MRMP scheme, and for March, the March return, the due date is 20th of April. So as on 27th of April 2021, return for March has become due. Return for March 2021 has become due, which means March 2021 GSTR 3B due date is 20th of April. It has become due, and you should have filed that. So opting in has got 2 points. Eligibility is only 1 point. Previous year aggregate turnover should be up to 5 crores, which is true. Opting in between the window. First day of second month of previous quarter till last day of the current month, last day of the first month of the current quarter. First day, second month, previous quarter, last day, current month, last day, first month, current quarter. You opt in between that particular window. And when you're opting in, whenever you're exercising the option, in this example, I'm assuming that you're opting that on 27th of April. Your March return should have been filed. If I'm telling that you're opting on say 18th of April, March return 3B is not due. So you should have filed your Feb return. So whenever you're opting, there should be no pending returns which are due, for which the due date has gone. So if in this example, if I tell that you're opting on 18th of April, then you should have filed your returns up to February, not March, up to February. So you're going for your QRMP scheme when you're talking about April to June. Now July, in this example, we have also seen that assessee registered person wants to go for QRMP scheme for quarter 1 and quarter 2, regular scheme for quarter 3 and QRMP scheme for quarter 4. And the second quarter, you are talking about the next quarter now. The second quarter is your July 21 to September 21. Now July 21 to September 21, again you can be under QRMP scheme, and as already discussed, once you are under QRMP scheme, you are not required to select. Opt-in is not required. Once you are opting in, you can continue under QRMP scheme. So again, selection is not required. When you are entering QRMP scheme, you have to select in that window. Plus, when you are selecting, no returns which are due should have, all the returns which are due should have been filed. You have to opt in a particular window, and all the returns which are due should have been filed. There are 2 conditions for opting in. But once you have opting in, continuation is not an issue. You will be continuing under QRMP scheme. Now, there's one more important fact of this question. This registered person's aggregate turnover crosses 5 crores on 1st of November. Which means it falls under third quarter. Now, the third quarter, friends, is your October to December. Understand, 5 crores is crossing on 1st of November. Please remember the point that if this assessee wanted, he could have gone for QRMP scheme even for the third quarter. If he wanted, he could have gone for QRMP scheme even for the third quarter. But the question tells that he wants regular scheme. He wants regular scheme for quarter 3. So I am just making a note that if he wanted QRMP scheme, he was eligible. If he wanted QRMP scheme, he was eligible. But he decided for quarter 3, he wants to go to regular scheme. Now, for opting out also, you have the same window. If at all, voluntary opt-out, it is not mandatory opt-out, it is voluntary opt-out. If you are going outside QRMP scheme voluntarily, he is not thrown outside, he is voluntarily going, then you have to opt between same time limit. You have to opt between first day of the second month of the previous quarter till last day of the first month of the current quarter. So if it is October 21 to December 21, it is first day of the second month of the previous quarter, 1st August 2021 till the last day of the first month of the current quarter, that is 31st October 2021. So this opt-out should be exercised between this. This is voluntary opt-out. It is not mandatory opt-out, which means that you are very much eligible for QRMP scheme, but you are voluntarily going outside. If you are voluntarily going outside, it should happen in that window period, that is first day, second month previous quarter, last day current first month current quarter. Right. Now friends, when you talk about the last quarter, quarter 4, the last quarter is January 22 to March 22. For financial year 21-22, it is January 22 to March 22. Now understand that he wants, assessee wanted QRMP scheme for the first 2 quarters, he was eligible and he went inside. He wanted a regular scheme for the 3rd quarter, he can voluntarily go out any point of time. Now he wants QRMP scheme. He actually wants QRMP scheme for the last quarter, but he is not eligible. Why? We have seen that if aggregate turnover crosses 5 crores, if aggregate turnover crosses 5 crores on any day of a particular quarter, on any day of the particular quarter. So aggregate turnover has crossed 5 crores on 1st of November. Then he can go for QRMP scheme in that quarter, which means October to December, if he wanted, he could have gone for QRMP scheme. But from the next quarter, he is not eligible for QRMP scheme. So when you talk about the next quarter, January 22 to March 22, he is not at all eligible for QRMP scheme. He has to be under MRMP scheme. He cannot go for QRMP scheme as aggregate turnover has crossed 5 crores on 1st of November 2021. 1st of November 2000. Beg your pardon, it is 1st of November 2021. 1st of November 2021. And if at all he wanted QRMP scheme, he could have gone for QRMP scheme for October to December. Though it crossed 5 crores in October to December, he could have still be under QRMP scheme. But for sure he cannot think of QRMP scheme from January to March 22 to March 2022. He cannot even think of QRMP scheme. Right. So this is this point. Now friends, we have discussed about all the 4 quarters of financial year 21-22. Now if you talk about financial year 22-23, financial year 22-23, understand that financial year 22-23, first for seeing the eligibility, you have to see the previous financial year aggregate turnover. And friends, previous financial year aggregate turnover has already crossed for financial year 22-23, previous financial year is 21-22. Previous financial year aggregate turnover has already crossed 5 crores. So if previous financial year aggregate turnover has already crossed 5 crores, then you are not at all eligible for QRMP scheme. So for the entire financial year 2022-2023, for all the 4 quarters, of financial year 22-23, you have no option but to go only for MRMP scheme. Though it is said that in that financial year its aggregate turnover is less than 5 crores, which means if you are talking about financial year 2023-2024, previous financial year aggregate turnover is less than 5 crores. In the next financial year, that is financial year 23-24, if he wants, he is eligible for, if he wants, he can think of QRMP scheme. He is eligible for QRMP scheme. So he may go for QRMP scheme as well as MRMP schemes. But as regard as financial year 22-23 is concerned, for financial year 22-23, previous financial year is financial year 21-22, where its turnover has already crossed 5 crores on 1st of November 2021. For that purposes, understand that he is not at all eligible for QRMP scheme for the entire financial year 22-23 because its previous financial year aggregate turnover has already crossed 5 crores. He has no option but to only go for MRMP scheme. And you can keep on continuing that example. So it always depends. Eligibility always depends on previous financial year aggregate turnover. Right. That is all about your eligibility, opt-in and opt-out as regard as QRMP scheme. We have discussed this with the help of an example. Now let us discuss about QRMP scheme compliance. Let us discuss about your QRMP scheme compliance. When I am talking about compliance, I am talking about your GSTR 1 as well as invoice furnishing facility. You have something called as invoice furnishing facility for the first 2 months. You have payment of taxes and you have GSTR 3B, and finally you have interest. So invoice furnishing facility, GSTR 1, payment, GSTR 3B, and interest computation. Now friends, understand that in your QRMP scheme, simple, the name itself tells that quarterly return, monthly payment. So GSTR 1 as well as GSTR 3B will be filed on quarterly basis. So GSTR 1 will be filed only for the quarter. GSTR 1 details of outward supplies. GSTR 1 details of outward supplies will be filed only on quarterly basis. The due date is not 11th as regards GSTR 1. If it is monthly GSTR 1, 11th of the next month after the completion of the month. If it is quarterly GSTR 1, it is 13th of the next month after the completion of quarter. So after the end of the quarter, 13 days. Normally for monthly GSTR 1, you get 11 days. Here you get 13 days. And friends, as you are filing quarterly GSTR 1, your customer or recipients will be having problem for claiming the credit in terms of Rule 36 sub Rule 4. They will not be getting the details in their GSTR 2A 2B. For that purposes, government has introduced something called as invoice furnishing facility, which is optional. Invoice furnishing facility, which is optional. Now, this is optional. Why? If you are not filing a GSTR 1, your customer or recipient will not get the details in GSTR 2A 2B, and they will not be eligible to claim the input tax credit. Now, for that purposes, what they have done? They have introduced an alternative mechanism for GSTR 1. You are not talking about replacement, but an additional support for GSTR 1 for the first 2 months of the quarter. Now, what is said here? Registered person, if he wants, he can include details of outward supplies, but only B2B invoices. GSTR 1 will contain B2B as well as B2C, but invoice furnishing facility will contain only B2B invoices. The objective is only when the opposite person wants the credit. So it is including only B2B invoices for the first 2 months of the quarter. For the first 2 months of the quarter. So for the first 2 months of the quarter, you will have invoice furnishing facility, which is optional, and that will contain only B2B, and the due date is 13th after the end of the month. So for the first month of the quarter, 13th after the end of the month. For the second month of the quarter, 13th after that month is over. For the last month of the quarter, you don't have IFF because you will be filing your GSTR 1. Now, understand few important points. Your invoice furnishing facility will be open only from 1st of next month till next of subsequent month. After that, if you don't file, because if it is available from these months, because whatever details you furnish in your invoice furnishing facility will be reflected in the recipient's GSTR 2A 2B for him to take the credit. Now, understand that unlike your GSTR 1, if at all you are not filing GSTR 1 within the due date, you can file later. But invoice furnishing facility, you have to file only between 1st of next month till 13th of next month. After that, even if you want, you cannot file invoice furnishing facility. There are certain special features of invoice furnishing facility. First, it is optional. Second, it is only for the first it is only for QRMP scheme. Second, it is optional. Third, it is only available for the first 2 months of the quarter. Fourth, it contains only B2B invoices. Fifth, it is open only for the window of 1st of the next month till 13th of the next month. If you want to file, file it. If you don't file, then you cannot do anything. Then you have to wait till next month. And next, in each of the month, maximum B2B invoices that you can include in your invoice furnishing facility is only 50 lakhs. So, there is a restriction. If you have B2B invoices in a particular month, say 1 crore, you cannot put entire 1 crore in IFF. You can put maximum only 50 lakhs in your invoice furnishing facility. And if you whatever invoices you want to select, you can select those invoices in your IFF. Now you may tell, if I have B2B invoices or sales of 1 crore and I can report only 50 lakhs in IFF, understand that the balance 50 lakhs will be reported in your quarterly GSTR 1. And next important point to be understood is, whatever you are reporting in invoice furnishing facility will not be again included in quarterly GSTR 1, but whatever you have missed out in invoice furnishing facility, what you have missed out in invoice furnishing facility, you don't file B2C, so B2C will come in quarterly GSTR 1. You cannot file B2B invoices more than 50 lakhs. So any leftover B2B invoices which you have not included in invoice furnishing facility will be reported in GSTR 1. And another important point, as invoice furnishing facility is optional, there is no late fees for late filing, late fees for IFF. Understand that the question of late fees does not come because your invoice furnishing facility will be open only till 1st of the next month till 13th of the next month. Thereafter, even if you want, you cannot file anything. So question of late filing will never be there, and when there is no question of late filing, late fees is obviously ruled out. Late fees is obviously ruled out. These are the special features of your invoice furnishing facility. Invoice furnishing facility. Now understand that you have to make payment, and for payment let us discuss the due dates first. you have to make payments. You have to make payments. I am not entering into details of payments as of now. Payment is in terms of Rule 61. For the first 2 months of the quarter, for the first 2 months of the quarter, you have two methods of payment, fixed sum method as well as self-assessment method. We can decide that the due date of payment is 25th of the next month, 25th of the subsequent month. For the last month of the quarter, you have only one method, self-assessment method, no other option. The due date is 22nd or 24th after the end of the quarter, depending on which states you are in, 22nd or 24th. 22nd or 24th. I repeat, for the first 2 months of the quarter, the due date is different. It is 25th after the end of the month. For the last month of the quarter, the due date is either 22nd or 24th, depending on which states or union territory you are after the end of the quarter. Another difference, for the first 2 months, you have method of payment are two. Either you can make the payment by way of fixed sum method. What is that fixed sum method? We will discuss. Or self-assessment method, or combination of both. For the first month, you may go for fixed sum method. For the second month, you may go for self-assessment method, etc. But for the last month of the quarter, you don't have any option. You have only option of self-assessment method. Self-assessment method. Right. And finally, you will have GSTR 3B. Finally, you will have GSTR 3B. Again, that is in terms of your Rule 61. GSTR 3B will be filed only quarterly. 1 as well as 3B will be filed only and only on quarterly basis. Again, for few states it is 22nd after the end of the quarter. For few states it is 24th after the end of the quarter. After the end of the quarter. And when you are filing GSTR 3B, understand that already you have made payments for the first 2 months based on fixed sum method or self-assessment method. Whatever amount you have deposited for the first 2 months of the quarter shall be debited solely for the purpose of offsetting the liability of GSTR 3B. That will understand with the help of example. So, first 2 months also you have made payment, that payment will be, and last month also there will be payment. So, last month you will be filing your GSTR 3B, last month of the quarter you will be making the payment as well as GSTR 3B. For the first 2 months you have made simple payment. You are not offsetting that liability, you have just deposited the amount by way of PMT 06. So, whatever amount you have deposited in the first 2 months of the quarter shall be used for offsetting the liability when you are filing your quarterly GSTR 3B. And if there is any balance liability, you have to make further payment. Now, before discussing other points, yes, we have to discuss about your fixed sum method and also we have to discuss about your self-assessment method. But before discussing that, let us understand the difference. Now, assume that you are talking about your regular taxable person, casual taxable person, MRMP scheme, regular taxable person, casual taxable person, QRMP scheme. So, this regular taxable person, casual taxable person, you are talking about MRMP scheme. Here you are talking about QRMP scheme. Now, let us even put the months. The months are as follows. You are talking about, say, April month, May, June, July, August, September, so on. We are taking the first 6 months. So, when you are talking about your regular taxable person or casual taxable person going for MRMP scheme on the left hand side and going for QRMP scheme on the right hand side. Now, what will be that? Now, if you are talking about regular taxable person, casual taxable person, what all details will be there? You will have GSTR 1 on monthly basis, followed by payment, followed by GSTR 3B. If at all you are talking about regular taxable person or casual taxable person going for QRMP scheme, you will have invoice furnishing facility, which is extra. Then you will have GSTR 1, then you will have payment, then you will have GSTR 3B. Now, when you talk about, let us take only first 3 months. When you talk about GSTR 1, what is the due date? What is the due date for GSTR 1 for April month? It is 11th of May. For May, it is 11th of June. For June, it is 11th of July. Here, friends, you will have only quarterly GSTR 1 and that will be on 13th of July. For April month, if you want, you can file your invoice furnishing facility where you can give only your B2B invoices 13th of May. And for May month, again you can give invoice furnishing facility 13th of June. 13th of June. Invoice furnishing facility is only for the first 2 months. Invoice furnishing facility is only for the first 2 months, but because for the last month of the quarter you will be filing your GSTR1. Now there are a lot of differences between IFF and GSTR1 that we'll discuss. Let us first see the example. Next you are talking about your payment. When you talk about your payment and GSTR3B, when you talk about your payment and GSTR3B for MRMP scheme, it is simple. Both payment and your GSTR3B will be on 20th of May for April month, 20th of June for May month, and 20th of July for June month. But friends, when you talk about your QRMP scheme, payment will be on monthly basis, whereas filing of GSTR3B will be on quarterly basis. So payment here will be for the first month, payment will be on, for April month, payment will be on 25th of May. For May month, payment will be on 25th of June. And when you talk about June month, payment will be on 22nd or 24th of July depending on the state. And friends, GSTR3B will be only quarterly, which is nothing but the same due date, last payment due date, that is 22nd or 24th of July, quarterly. So payment will be on monthly basis. For the first 2 months, it is 25th. If you see now your QRMP scheme, you have certain extra points. First, you have invoice furnishing facility for the first 2 months, and the due date is different, 13th of the next month. 13th of the next month. So for April, 13th of May, for May, 13th of June. Last month of the quarter, you will have directly GSTR1, 13th of July. Whatever is not reported in IFF, you can report it in GSTR1. Payment again. First 2 months, it will be on only by depositing in PMT06, 25th of next month, 25th of May for April month, and 25th of June for May month. For June month, 22nd or 24th of July depending on which state or union territory you are, and GSTR3B will be, the due date will be the same, 22nd or 24th of July after the end of the quarter depending on which state or union territory you are. Now the difference between your invoice furnishing facility and your IFF. What is the difference between your invoice furnishing facility and your IFF? There are a lot of differences. I am pointing out only few important differences. When you talk about your invoice furnishing facility, first, if it is optional, whereas GSTR1 you have to file it mandatorily. Second, invoice furnishing facility is only for B2B, whereas GSTR1 is for B2B as well as your B2C. Next, your invoice furnishing facility limit of 50 lakhs is there. For your GSTR1 there is no limit. Third, next, your invoice furnishing facility can be filed only from 1st of the next month till 13th of subsequent month. Here no such restriction, which means you can file late. Late filing is possible. And as for next point is, when you're talking about late fees, there is no late fees, because you can file your IFF only between 1st of the next month till 13th of the next month. After that you cannot do it. Whereas GSTR1 can be filed late, therefore there will be late fees if at all you are filing late. There will be late fees if you are filing late. These are the main differences between your invoice furnishing facility and your GSTR1. And one of the main differences, your invoice furnishing facility is only and only for your QRMP scheme, whereas GSTR1 is both there for MRMP scheme as well as QRMP scheme. MRMP scheme as well as QRMP scheme. MRMP scheme, you have monthly GSTR1 11th of the subsequent month. QRMP scheme, you have quarterly GSTR1 13th after the end of the quarter, 13th of the next month after the end of the quarter. Now when you talk about payment, here, when you talk about QRMP scheme, when you are talking about payment, first 2 months payment, you are only depositing the amount by way of PMT06, only depositing the amount, you are not offsetting the liability. Only when you are making the payment for the last month, offsetting of liability will be there. Because only at that point of time 3B will be filed. And when you are talking about first 2 months, the due date is 25th after the end of the first month, 25th after the end of the second, 25th after the end of the second month. Whereas the last month it is 22nd or 24th, depending on which state or union territory you are. Now, another important point is when you're talking about first 2 months, you can go for either fixed sum method or self-assessment method. Whereas last month you don't have an option, only option is self-assessment method, which is the only normal method. Right. Now you may ask for which states it is 22nd. For which states it is 22nd after the end of the quarter, and for which states it is 24th after the end of the quarter. Now, for which states it is 22nd, let me make it very, very simple. What are the states covered here? You have Chhattisgarh, you have Madhya Pradesh. Then you have Gujarat, you have Goa, you have Maharashtra. Then you have Kerala, then you have Karnataka. Then you have Tamil Nadu, you have Andhra, you have Telangana. These are all the states. Now, what are the union territories covered here? You have Puducherry, which for the purpose of GST it is treated as state. Then you have Lakshadweep, then you have Andaman and Nicobar, then you have Daman and Diu along with Dadar and Nagar Haveli. Now these are all the states and union territories which are covered by 22nd. And 24th, balance states or union territories. Friends, remember in a simple way, 22nd is for southern part of India, 22nd is for South India earlier, 24th is for North India later. Now South India, you will find all these states: Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, though it is central part, then Gujarat, Goa, Maharashtra, Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Telangana. You have even Puducherry, you have Lakshadweep, you have Andaman and Nicobar, Daman and Diu and Dadar and Nagar Haveli. Southern part of India. So balance states and union territories, you'll have 24th. After the end of the quarter, both for the last month payment as well as for GSTR 3B quarterly. This is used for what? This is used for QRMP scheme for last month payment plus your GSTR 3B due date. Last month of the quarter payment plus GSTR 3B due date. Now friends, let us talk about the point that we have left out earlier. Now, if you remember, for the first 2 months, payment can be made on fixed sum method as well as your self-assessment method or combination thereof, and for the last month you have to go only for self-assessment method. Now when you talk about self-assessment method, is a very normal method. What is self-assessment method? Self-assessment method is a normal method where you pay a tax by calculating actual liability. Normal method, output tax minus input tax credit. Your output tax, self-assessment method is a very normal method. What is your gross output tax less input tax credit, including application of rule 36(4). Normal method. So self-assessment method is a very, 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 very normal method. Whereas when you talk about your fixed sum method is a notional method. Notional method. Now fixed sum method is based on percentage. It tells that if return was quarterly in the previous quarter, if your previous return was quarterly, if your previous month return was quarterly, then fixed sum method is 35% of cash liability of previous quarter to be deposited in each of the 2 months. If your previous return was monthly, in the previous quarter the return was under MRMP scheme. If your previous return was quarterly in previous quarter, if in previous quarter it was QRMP scheme, then 35% of cash liability of previous quarter, and that has to be paid in each of the 2 months. This 35% is not for one month, both the months together, each of the 2 months. If your previous quarter you are under MRMP scheme, then you have to pay 100% of cash liability of the last month of previous quarter, to be deposited in each of the 2 months. And very important point, normal method is self-assessment method. You can go for fixed sum method. Only and only if the return is filed for a complete tax period preceding the month for which deposit is made. So you can go for your fixed sum method if at all, or if at all the return, the previous return that you are talking about is filed for a complete tax period. The previous return that you are talking about is filed for a complete tax period. Complete tax period means it is not part. Complete tax period means first day till last day, entire month or quarter. Complete tax period means it should be for entire month or quarter, because in fixed sum method you are going with notional assumption that 100% or 35% depending on what it is. So your reference point should be complete tax period. Whenever you are referring that previous period, it should be complete tax period. All these you have to see with the help of examples, and there are certain clarifications also which are given. What are the clarifications? Payment is not required to be made if you have nil tax liability for any month. If you calculate and you find that it is nil tax liability, you did not made, or if there is adequate balance in cash ledger or credit ledger. So there is no need of payment. If at all you calculate your liability, output minus ITC, it is giving it as 0. As well as when you talk about if you have to make some payment, whether you go for a FSM method or SAM method, fixed sum method or self-assessment method, payment is not required if your liability is 0, as well as payment is not required if at all already you have that amount in electronic credit ledger or cash ledger. Already if you have some amount in electronic credit ledger or cash ledger, please do not make the payment. And when you talk about the first 2 months, amount deposited, whatever amount that you are depositing, in the first 2 months of the quarter, you cannot go for refund or you cannot do anything till you are filing GST or 3B of the quarter. Which means when you are making the deposit when you are making the payment for the first 2 months of the quarter, you are going to make by a form called as PMT06. When you are making through that form, you cannot touch that amount till your quarterly GST or 3B is filed. You cannot touch that amount. After your quarterly GST or 3B is filed, if there is any surplus amount, by mistake you have paid extra, then either you can claim the refund of that, or you can use it for subsequent tax period, Now let us discuss something about your fixed sum method as well as your fixed sum method. Self-assessment method is very normal. Friends, when you are talking about your fixed sum method, it is notional. Self-assessment method is actual, fixed sum method is notional. Now what is this fixed sum method trying to tell? This fixed sum method is trying to tell that you are not required to make, what is the payment that you are required to make for the first month of the quarter and the second month of the quarter? It is there required for first month of the, it is applicable only for first month of the quarter and second month of the quarter. Third month of the quarter, you don't have an option, but you have to go for your self-assessment method. Now it tells that if at all, let us take a scenario. If at all you are talking about, say, quarter April 2021 to June 2021 quarter. You are under QRMP scheme and you are talking about April 21 quarter to June 2021 quarter. Assume a scenario where your previous quarter friends, your previous quarter happens to be Jan 2021 to June 2021. This is your previous quarter. Jan 2021 to June 2021. This is your previous quarter. Now if in your previous quarter you are under, assume that you are under QRMP scheme. Here you assume that you are under MRMP scheme. If these are both are two different cases. If in your previous quarter you are under QRMP scheme, if you are in a previous quarter you are under MRMP scheme. Now let us discuss about 2 months liability, that is your April 2021, you are going for fixed sum method, as well as for May 2021 you are going for fixed sum method. Fixed sum method is only applicable for the first 2 months of the quarter. It is not applicable for June month. Now what is the payment that you are required to make? If your previous quarter you are going under, if you are in your previous quarter you are under QRMP scheme, then you are required to pay 35% of cash liability paid in Jan to March. beg your pardon, it is not Jan to June, Jan to March. Jan to March. So 35% of cash liability paid in Jan to March 2021, that you have to pay for April month as well as for May month. If at all you are going for fixed sum method, 35% of cash liability that you have paid in the previous quarter, Jan to March 2021. But if I tell that no, your previous quarter, Jan to March 2021, you are under MRMP scheme, then they tell that you have to pay 100% of the cash liability of your March 2021 month. 100% of cash liability only of that last month of the previous quarter, that is March 2021. March 2021. So this is how this is there. First of all, you have to understand that this fixed sum method is a notional payment method. It is applicable only for the first 2 months of the quarter. In this example, if the quarter is April 21 to June 21, it is applicable only for April and May 2021. It is applicable only for the first 2 months. It is applicable only for the first 2 months of the quarter. And moreover, this scheme, this can be used only if you are under QRMP scheme. Now, you have to ask yourself a question, whether in your previous quarter, that is in this case for current quarter is April 21 to June 21, means previous quarter is Jan to March 21, you are under QRMP scheme. If in your previous quarter you are under QRMP scheme, then it is entire quarter. So they tell that okay, 3 months means entire quarter, means you are making monthly payment, so it cannot be 100% of that quarter, it is 35%, normal mathematical calculation. 35% of cash liability of that quarter, because you are making the payment of a month based on quarter, therefore it is 35%. Both for April month as well as for May month, it is 35% of cash liability paid in that quarter, Jan 21 to March 21 quarter. But if I tell that if in your previous quarter, Jan 21 to March 21, you are under MRMP scheme, then you are referring only to last month of that previous quarter, which means you are referring only to March 2021. When you are referring to March 2021, you are making the payment for a month and based on some other month. So it will be 100% of cash liability of March 2021, both for April 21 as well as for May 21. And friends, one more point you have to understand, that whenever you are going for this payment, this payment will be deposited, it will not be offsetted in a special form called as PMT 06, and till your quarterly GST 3B is filed and the payment is offset, you cannot take the refund of this amount, you cannot use this amount for any other purposes as well. And after GST 3B is filed, if you have surplus payment, you can take the refund or you can carry forward and use it for the subsequent month liability. And there are 2 clarifications. What are the 2 important clarifications? Now, first important clarification is only for fixed sum method. This fixed sum method, you can go for it only and only if the reference point, in the first case, the reference point, is Jan 21 to March 21. The return should have been filed for entire 1st of Jan 2021 till 31st of March 2021. The transactions should be there for all the dates. It should not be a case where you have taken registration only in the month of Feb. Transaction should be there in all the case. If you are referring to Jan 21 to March 21 quarter, that should be a complete tax period. Complete tax period means that should be transactions right from 1st of Jan 2021 to 31st of March 2021. And if your reference point is March 2021, as in the second case, there should be transactions for all the months for the entire tax period, 1st of March 2021 to 31st of March 2021. So whenever you are referring to a point, it should be a complete tax period, which means whatever reference point you are taking. In the first example, the reference point is previous quarter, entire previous quarter. In the second example, the reference point is March month of the previous quarter. Now the reference point should be a complete tax period, which means you should be operating right from first day of that tax period till the last day of that tax period. Right, that is for FSM method. If at all that is not there, you cannot go for FSM method. You can only go for self-assessment method. And certain clarifications applicable both for FSM as well as self-assessment method is, you need not pay anything if your tax liability is 0 or if you have sufficient balance in your cash ledger or credit ledger. In that scenario, you are not required to pay anything. You are not required to pay anything. Don't worry, we will be having examples of this method again. Now, let us talk about your interest. Let us talk about your interest. Now, when you talk about your interest, which is in terms of section 50, interest calculation for the first 2 months of the quarter will be different and for the last month of the quarter will be different. For the first 2 months of the quarter, you are making payment, you are depositing the payment by PMT 06. If the amount is not deposited by due date, depositing is important, then interest is payable from the due date of deposit till the actual date of deposit in cash ledger. From the due date of deposit till the actual date of depositing in the cash ledger. Due date of deposit for the first month and second month of the quarter is 25th of the next month, right? So, for the first 2 months, you don't offset your liability, only deposit the amount. So, interest will start from the due date of deposit till the actual date of deposit in cash ledger. Whereas, when you talk about the last month, interest as per section 50, which means interest will start from due date that is 22nd or 24th after the end of the quarter till the date of offsetting liability. The difference is interest will always start from the next date of the due date. For the first 2 months, interest will be till only the date of deposit, actual deposit. Whereas in this third month, last month of the quarter, interest will be till the date of offsetting, not till the date of depositing, till the date of offsetting. For the first 2 months of the quarter, you don't offset your liability, so interest will start from the due date till the date of deposit. For the last month of the quarter, you will be depositing as well as offsetting. So, interest will start from the due date, but it will end till date of offsetting. It will not end till date of deposit. It will end on date of offsetting of liability. Date on offsetting of your liability, which again you can understand when we are discussing this example. Now, friends, one important last point where you cannot file your return. Filing is not allowed. Filing is not allowed. You cannot file your GSTR 3B. You cannot file your GSTR 3B of current period if you have not filed GSTR 3B of any other tax previous tax period. That is discussed in section 39. So, if you have not filed GSTR 3B of the previous tax period, whether it is month or quarter, you cannot file GSTR 3B of the current tax period. But that is not applicable for GSTR 1. GSTR 1 you can file of current tax period even if you have not filed GSTR 1 of previous tax period. 3B, you cannot file GSTR 3B of current tax period without filing GSTR 3B of previous tax period. But as far as GSTR 1 is concerned or IFF is concerned, you can file GSTR 1 or IFF of current tax period without even filing GSTR 1 of previous tax period. So, there is a difference which we have already discussed. Now, for GSTR 1 there is another point, rule 59 that we have already discussed for MRMP scheme. Now, this is for QRMP scheme. You cannot file your GSTR 1 or IFF if at all you have not filed GSTR 3B for the preceding tax period. Now, what are they trying to tell? If I have not filed GSTR 3B of previous tax period, I cannot file GSTR 3B of current tax period. So, I have to first file GSTR 3B of previous tax period, only then I can file GSTR 3B of current tax period. Whereas, when you talk about GSTR 1, if I have not filed GSTR 1 of previous tax period, even then I can file GSTR 1 of current tax period. So, I can directly file GSTR 1 of current tax period. For GSTR 3B, first I have to file GSTR 3B of previous tax period, then I have to file GSTR 3B of current tax period. But as far as GSTR 1 is concerned, I can directly file GSTR 1 of current tax period without even filing GSTR 1 of previous tax period. So, I can file GSTR 1 of current tax period, then later on I can file GSTR 1 of the previous tax period, or I may not even file that. That is the second scenario. Now they have restriction on GSTR 1 indirectly. What are they trying to tell? If you are not filing GSTR 3B of previous tax period, then you will not be in a position to file GSTR 1 of any period. Whatever you have not filed, you will not be in a position to file. So first file GSTR 3B of previous tax period, only then you will be in a position to file your GSTR 1. So if at all you are talking about your QRMP scheme, this is all for your QRMP scheme. They are telling that whether Rule 86B is applicable or not. If you have not filed GSTR 3B of previous tax period, then portal will not give you the facility for filing GSTR 1 for any pending periods. It may happen that few GSTR 1 are yet pending, but you cannot file. And if you are not in a position to file GSTR 1, your customer will not get it in GSTR 2A, 2B. They will not be in a position to take the credit. So they will be forcing you to file GSTR 1. And if you are to file your GSTR 1, you have to file your GSTR 3B. And if you have to file your GSTR 3B, you have to make payment. See the sequence. If you are not in a position to file GSTR 1, the customer will not get it in their GSTR 2A, 2B. They will not be in a position to take the credits. Now, they will force you. They will tell that, please file your GSTR 1. And if you want to file GSTR 1, you have to first file your GSTR 3B. And if you want to file 3B, first you have to make payment. So, it will force indirectly the assessee to make the payment, file GSTR 3B, then they can file their pending GSTR 1s, then the opposite party will get it in, the customers will get it in their GSTR 2A, 2B. Right. Now, when you are talking about QRMP scheme, whether Rule 86B is applicable or Rule 86B is not applicable, the answer is the same. The answer is the same. So, if I were to summarize, restriction in filing GSTR 1 if you have not filed your 3B. Restriction in filing GSTR 1 if you have not filed your 3B. Non-filing of GSTR 3B leading to non-availability of filing GSTR 1. Non-availability of filing, you are not in a position to file GSTR 1. If you are under MRMP scheme, if you are under QRMP scheme. If you are under MRMP scheme, you have to ask a question whether Rule 86B is applicable or whether Rule 86B is not applicable. If Rule 86B is applicable, then non-filing of GSTR 3B of 1 month will make a scenario where you are not in a position to file GSTR 1. If Rule 86B is not applicable, non-filing of GSTR 3B of 2 months, for 2 months will make sure that you are not in a position to file your GSTR 1. If you are under QRMP scheme, non-filing of GSTR 3B of 1 tax period, I will write it as tax period everywhere. Non-filing of QRMP scheme for 1 tax period will make sure that you are not in a position to file GSTR 1. So, what are they trying to tell? If you are under your MRMP scheme and if you have not filed your GSTR 3B for 1 tax period, if 86B is applicable, for 2 tax period, if 86B is not applicable. So, non-filing of GSTR 3B for 1 tax period where 86B is applicable, non-filing of GSTR 3B for 2 tax period where 86B is not applicable. If you have not filed that, then you will not be in a position to file your GSTR 1 also. So, where 86B is applicable, non-filing of GSTR 3B for 1 tax period means you cannot file GSTR 1. If 86B is not applicable, that 1% rule. Non-filing of GSTR 3B for 2 tax period will make sure that you are not in a position to file GSTR 1. But if you are under QRMP scheme, whether or not 86B is applicable, non-filing of GSTR 3B for 1 tax period, will ensure that you are not in a position to file your GSTR 1. If you have not filed GSTR 3B for 1 tax period, you cannot file your GSTR 1. First file that, then file your 1. So, only after payment you can file your 3B. Only after 3B you can file your 1. Only after 1 the customer will get the transaction in GSTR 2A, 2B. So, that is the sequence. Now let us see the master example and disclose this particular chart. We actually discussed everything about QRMP scheme. Now let us see the master example. We have brought a master example where you are under QRMP scheme for January 21, February 21, March 21, that is Jan to March quarter. Now in January 21 you have supplies, B2B supplies 40 lakhs, 100 invoices, and B2C supplies 20 lakhs. 20 lakhs. Now understand that when you're talking about your invoice furnishing facility, you can show 40 lakhs in B2B, and due date for your invoice furnishing facility will be 13th of February. For January month it is 1st to 13th of February you have to file your invoice furnishing facility, and in your invoice furnishing facility, which is optional, it is there only for QRMP scheme, it is optional, and you can show only B2B transactions, and that too from 1st of February to 13th of February. After that you cannot file it, right? Now you may ask what about B2C? B2C will not be reported in invoice furnishing facility. B2C will be reported only in quarterly GSTR1. B2C will be reported, B2C 20 lakhs will be reported only in quarterly GSTR1. Right. Now second month B2B you have 65 lakhs, 110 invoices, and out of which 100 invoices sums up to 50 lakhs, right? Now you don't have B2C. Second month you don't have B2C. Now understand that you can file invoice furnishing facility even for the second month, but maximum B2B invoices that can be reflected in your invoice furnishing facility is 50 lakhs. So B2B you can show maximum only of 50 lakhs, those 100 invoices. And due date of IFF for the second month, that is February 2021, is 1st to 13th of March. IFF is optional. If you want to file it between 1st of March to 13th of March. If you don't file, you cannot do anything further. You have to report in GSTR1. And after 13th of March, you cannot file your IFF, which means there is no concept of your late fees. Now you may tell that what about balance 15 lakhs of B2B? Balance 15 lakhs of B2B will be reported in quarterly GSTR1. Now whatever is not reported in IFF only will be reported in GSTR1. Understand, whatever is reported in IFF will not be repeating in GSTR1. Whatever is not reported in IFF will be reported in GSTR1. Now when you talk about last month of the quarter, that is March 2021, you have B2B 80 lakhs, 120 invoices, B2C 12 lakhs. And for the last month of the quarter, you don't have invoice furnishing facility. Now in your GSTR1, you will be reporting everything, B2B 80 lakhs and B2C 12 lakhs. But not only that, when you are talking about your GSTR1, you will be reporting first month leftover. First month leftover was B2C 20 lakhs. Second month leftover was B2B 15 lakhs, balance 10 invoices. And third month entire thing. So in your GSTR1, you will include first month leftover, second month leftover, and third month entire thing. I will repeat, first month leftover transactions, second month leftover transaction, and third month entire thing. And the due date for your quarterly GSTR1 will be 13th of April. So that is all about your IFF and your GSTR1. Now friends, let us talk about your payment methods. What is your GST liability? If you see your GST liability for the first month, output tax is 10.8 lakhs, input tax is 6 lakhs. For the second month, output tax is 11.7 lakhs and input tax is 11 lakhs. For the third month of the quarter, output tax is 16.56 lakhs and input tax is 16 lakhs. Right. As per self-assessment method, what will be the liability? Self-assessment method is output tax minus input tax. Output tax minus input tax for the first month of the quarter, that is January 2021, is 4.8 lakhs. Why? 10.8 lakhs minus 6 lakhs. For the second month, it is 0.7 lakhs. 11.7 lakhs minus 11 lakhs. For the third month, it is 16.56 lakhs minus 16 lakhs, that is 0.56 lakhs. Now understand that for the first 2 months of the quarter, you are not going to offset the liability. You are going to only deposit it in your electronic cash ledger. What is the due date for the first month? 25th of the next month. So for January month, 25th of February. For February month, 25th of March. And in both the months, friends, you are only depositing in cash ledger. You are only depositing in cash ledger, not offsetting. But when you are talking about third month, you have to deposit as well as liability should be offset. And it depends on the state. Southern states 22nd of April and northern states it is 24th of April. Assuming that it is southern states, it is 22nd of April. If you are assuming it is Maharashtra, even which is covered by category A states, it is 22nd of April. Now friends, let us understand something more about it. Interest calculation. January month, February month, interest calculation. Interest will be payable for delay in deposit. Say for example, 4.8 lakhs of January month, the due date of which is 25th of February, is deposited on 28th of Feb by way of PMT 06. Interest is payable on 4.8 lakhs for 3 days because due date was 25th of February and you are deposited on 28th of February. Interest at the rate of 18% will be for 3 days. So 4.8 lakhs multiplied by 3 divided by 365 multiplied by 18% will be your interest. Whereas when you talk about your March month, interest will be payable for not based on deposit but based on offsetting. It is not based on depositing in ledger, it is based on offsetting. Say for example, March month, you have to pay 0.56 lakhs. If you see March month, you have to pay 0.56 lakhs. Is deposited on the due date 22nd of April, but it is offsetted on 25th of April. Understand that for the first 2 months only deposit will be there, no offsetting. For the third month, deposit as well as offsetting will be there. So when you are talking about third month, that is March month, you have to see date of offsetting. Though 0.56 lakhs was deposited on the due date 22nd April, but offsetting was done on 25th April, still there is a delay because for the last month of the quarter, for interest purposes, you have to consider offsetting, not deposit, date of deposit. You have to consider date of offsetting, not date of deposit. So interest will be still payable for 3 days. So on 0.56 lakhs multiplied by 18% multiplied by 3 divided by 365. Right. So that you have to understand. Calculation of interest. And another interesting point, when you talk about refund, when you have deposited the amount for the first 2 months of the quarter, which means what amount you have deposited for the first 2 months of the quarter, you have deposited, for the first month you have deposited 4.8 lakhs and for the second month you have deposited 0.7 lakhs via PMT 06 challan. Now the amounts that you have deposited for the first 2 months of the quarter, it cannot be used for any purposes, neither for refund nor any other purposes, till you are offsetting the liability, which means till you are filing your GSTR 3B. Now post filing your GSTR 3B of the quarter, if there is any surplus amount, either you can claim the refund or you can carry forward. In the above example, there is no surplus amount, therefore we have ignored that. Now friends, this is a very normal method which is nothing but your self-assessment method. This entire thing was based on self-assessment method. Now interesting thing will be there when you are talking about your fixed sum method. For fixed sum method, you require previous quarter's details. Now assume that your previous quarter is October month to December. Your previous quarter is October to December. If your previous quarter was under QRMP scheme, you are going to go with 35% of cash liability of previous quarter, and tax paid through cash ledger in previous quarter was 10 lakhs. The previous quarter, which is October to December, is under QRMP scheme. If it is under QRMP scheme, you are going to go with 35% of cash liability of the previous quarter, and cash liability of previous quarter is 10 lakhs. Now what will happen? If at all you are going for fixed sum method, you have to understand whether your previous quarter is QRMP scheme. If so, 35% of cash liability of the entire previous quarter. If your previous quarter is under MRMP scheme, it is 100% of cash liability, but only of the last month of the previous quarter, not the entire quarter, last month of the previous quarter. Here previous quarter is also under QRMP scheme, therefore you are going with 35% of cash liability of previous quarter. Now what is 35% of cash liability of previous quarter? Your cash liability of previous quarter is 10 lakhs. So 35% of 10 lakhs is 3.5 lakhs to be deposited for first month of the quarter, and even for the second month of the quarter. For the first month of the quarter, the due date is 25th of February. For the second month of the quarter, the due date is 25th of March. 25th of March. You have deposited 3.5 lakhs, 3.5 lakhs, 3.5 lakhs, 3.5 lakhs. Now a very interesting calculation will be there. Now friends, understand that what is your total liability. For the first 2 months, you can go for fixed sum method where you are going for fixed sum method. So when you are going for fixed sum method for the first 2 months, you will go for 35% of cash liability of the entire previous quarter because it was under QRMP scheme. Second month also the same. So it is due date is 25th of the next month of the first month, that is 25th of Feb, and for the second month 25th of the next month, which is 25th of March. You have to deposit. It is not offsetting, you have to only deposit. But if you see the entire quarter friends, if you see the entire quarter, what is the liability? The liability for the first month is, the output tax liability for the first month is 10.8 lakhs, for the second month is 11.7 lakhs, and for the third month is 16.56 lakhs. And input tax credit for the first month, was 6 lakhs, second month 11 lakh, and third month 16 lakhs. So when you are doing the calculation for the last month of the quarter, when you are talking about the last month of the quarter, you have to go only by self-assessment. And when you are doing self-assessment, you have to go do self-assessment for the entire quarter. When you are doing self-assessment for the entire quarter, how much amount you are required to pay? So your total liability of the quarter is 10.8 lakhs plus 11.7 lakhs plus 16.56 lakhs. And total input tax credit is 6 lakhs and 11 lakhs and 16 lakhs. So it will be 4.8 lakhs plus 0.7 lakhs plus 0.56 lakhs, which will be equal to 5.56, 6.06 lakhs, 6.06 lakhs, that is 6 lakhs 6,000. So you will get it as 6.06 lakhs. Now understand that when you are doing this you are doing for this, you will be doing when you are talking about March 2021, you will be going only for self-assessment method, but not only for March 21, but you will do it for entire quarter. You will do from Jan to March quarter, you will do for the entire quarter, and you find that finally you have to pay only 6.06 lakhs. But how much amount you have already paid? Already you have paid 3.5 lakhs plus 3.5 lakhs, already you have paid 7 lakhs. Isn't it? In the first month you have paid 3.5 lakhs, in the second month you have paid 3.5 lakhs, already you have paid 7 lakhs. Now you have surplus amount. That is paid. What is that surplus amount that is paid? 0.94 lakhs is the surplus amount that you have paid. 0.94 lakhs. This is the figure. 0.94 lakhs is the surplus amount that you have paid, which is available in cash ledger. So for the last month of the quarter, you will not pay anything. When you are doing, see, only for the first 2 months you can go for fixed sum method. Last month you have to go only for self-assessment method, and when you are doing self-assessment method, you have to do it for entire quarter. Not only for that month, you have to do it for entire quarter. When you do that, you find that for the entire quarter you should have paid 6.06 lakhs, and you have already paid 7 lakhs for the first 2 months itself. So you have 0.94 lakhs surplus. Now understand that what will happen with this 0.94 lakhs. This 0.94 lakhs you can claim refund, but only after your GSTR 3B is filed. You can claim refund or you can carry it forward for the future tax period, but only and only after your GSTR 3B is filed. So when you are paying first month 3.5 lakhs and second month 3.5 lakhs, you are paying by way of PMT 06. This particular amount cannot be used for any purposes, nor it can be claimed as refund till offset is done, which means till your quarterly GSTR 3B is filed, you cannot touch this 7 lakhs. Once it is filed, you find that once your quarterly GSTR 3B is filed, you find that there is a surplus of 0.94 lakhs. Either you can carry forward into the next tax period, or you can claim the refund, Now, let us talk about your interest liability. Understand that here, friends, when you're talking about interest liability, Jan and Feb month, let us take an example. Jan month, there is a delay in deposit. Say, for example, Jan month, you have to pay 3.5 lakhs on 25th of February, but you are paid on 28th of February. So, interest shall be payable on 3.5 lakhs. Because you have gone for fixed sum method, the liability is 3.5 lakhs multiplied by 18%, multiplied by 3 divided by 365. So, that is an example. But when you are talking about interest liability here for the month of March, there will be no interest liability for the month of March because you are not required to pay any payment. When you are into the month of March, you find that already you have paid 94,000 extra. Therefore, when you are paid extra, there is no need of any further deposit. When there is no need of any further cash liability, there is no interest liability will arise. Your interest liability will not arise because already you have paid extra. When you are into the month of March, you find that already you have paid 94,000 extra when in the month of Jan and Feb itself. So, that interest liability for the month of March will not arise. So, that is all about your calculation under self-assessment method and fixed sum method. And friends, a very important note that is given below, a very important point. Registered person can choose self-assessment method or fixed sum method for each of the first 2 months. He may choose any method that he wants. See, last month he has to go for self-assessment method, and when he is going for self-assessment method for the last month, he has to do the calculation for the entire quarter. Now what he has to do, he can select fixed sum method for the first month, he can select self-assessment method for the second month, or vice versa. Now, you have to understand that the total cash liability to be paid at the end of the quarter is 6.06 lakhs that we have seen just now. Output tax minus input tax, it is 6.06 lakhs. What assessee can do to optimize working capital, he may select fixed sum method for 1 month and self-assessment method for the second month. What he can do, Jan month he could have gone for, January month he could have gone for fixed sum method, because when you compare January month liability, under self-assessment method it is 4.8 lakhs, under fixed sum method it is 3.5 lakhs. So, which is better? Fixed sum method. When you talk about February month, under self-assessment method it is only 70,000, 0.7 lakhs, and under your fixed sum method is 3.5 lakhs. So, February month he could have gone for 70,000. So, what assessee can do for January month, for the month of Jan, I am just writing the figures again. For the month of Jan, here for the month of Jan, self-assessment method gives 4.8 lakhs. For the month of Feb, self-assessment method gives 0.7 lakhs. And fixed sum method gives 3.5 lakhs. Now, this is nothing but your first is your self-assessment method and second is your fixed sum method. Now, what he can do, for the month of Jan, he could have gone for fixed sum method. He could have ignored self-assessment method because it is giving lesser payment. For the month of February, he could have ignored fixed sum method. He could have gone for your self-assessment method. And understand, when he is in the month of March, he is not having any option. He has to go only for self-assessment method, and he has to calculate for the entire quarter. When he is calculating for the entire quarter, friends, we have found that calculation for the entire quarter gives 6.6 lakhs. Output tax of all the months minus input tax of all the months, it gives 6.6 lakhs. Minus what he is already paid. If he is going for that method, minus what he is already paid is, he would have already paid 3.5 lakhs plus 0.7 lakhs, which is 4.2 lakhs, which means in the month of March he has to pay balance 2.4 lakhs. He has to pay balance 2.4 lakhs. This way he can optimize his liability. So, first month he will go for, January month he will go for fixed sum method because that is beneficial, lesser. Second month he will go for self-assessment method because that is amount is lesser. And friends, when you talk about March month, you don't have an option, you have to go for self-assessment method only, and when you are going in March month, you have to do only self-assessment method, and that too the self-assessment will be for entire quarter. With this point is important. In March month, when you are going for self-assessment method, you will work out for the entire quarter. And we have already seen that entire quarter liability works out to 6.6 lakhs. Out of which you have already paid 3.5 lakhs in the first month and 0.7 lakhs in the second month, 4.2 lakhs. Balance 2.4 lakhs you have to pay. This way you can optimize your working capital. This way you can optimize your working capital. This way you can optimize your working capital. When you're paid for the first month 3.5 lakhs, second month 0.7 lakhs, totally you're paid 4.2 lakhs, and your liability was 6.06. Beg your pardon, your liability was I've written here wrong. Your liability was 6.06 lakhs. If your liability was 6.06 lakhs, what is the balance amount that you are required to pay? Balance amount that you are required to pay is 1.86 lakhs. I wrote it as 6.6 lakhs, but your liability, entire liability is not 6.6, it is 6.06. 6.06 lakhs, and you have already paid 4.2 lakhs. So balance will be 1.86 lakhs that you have to pay. So that is given that. And friends, this completes our entire discussion about QRMP scheme. And friends, we have not discussed in a normal summarizer. We have discussed each and every minute aspect of your QRMP scheme. So all the permutation combinations, whatever are available with respect to your IFF, GSTR1, with respect to your payment, GSTR3B, also with respect to interest, we have seen that.